Okay, so I'm here today because we received a media advisory of this meeting held at the Sonoma County Board of Supervisors. And it says they invite community members to attend and provide input to guide post-fire recovery efforts at a workshop on infrastructure today, Tuesday, February the 27th, 2018. And there will be other local, state, and federal officials will be taking part as well. So they talk about the topics that will be discussed to include and prepare for a resilient city.
Rockefellers. So all you have to do is just Google.
It's all about resiliency, fire safety, utility infrastructure, and strengthening and improving our community warning programs. So I want to go over some of the things that I heard in this meeting. It's very diabolical. All the perpetrators of this event are here. They're building up from a planned disaster by the use of directed energy weapons, which you can hear that interview in full by Googling the plan to burn up Northern California. And I am, of course, Deborah Tavares, and I do run the website stopthecrime.net, where you can find that plan to burn up Northern California as well. But the agenda here today by the perpetrators here in Northern California was to again discuss the community warning program, preparing for a more resilient county. Now, for many of you, I've reported on resilient cities. I would recommend that you go to the YouTube Kill Cities by Rothschild and Rockefeller to understand what resilient planning is all about in your town. And this is as a result of a weaponized weather assault. And that is now the new norm, increased weaponized weather assaults. We have been told that fire season in California will no longer be just a fire season as it had been in the past. It will be all year long. And we know certainly with the plan to burn up Northern California, how they're doing that with killing the trees, with all the toxins from the chemtrailing, the drought that they keep us perpetually in, and we're in a drought again right now. So thank you so very much for listening, and pass this information along far and wide. More importantly, I will leave you with this. We have primary water. We do not have a water shortage. This is the PSYOPs now being played out in Cape Town in South Africa. They've just extended the 0 day that they keep talking about no more water. We discovered the PSYOPs being played here in Northern California in a town called Mountain House. Mountain House, about 4 years ago, was being shown throughout the United States as running out of water in 10 days. When our research team called some realtors in Mountain House, we discovered that they did not even know that their town was being used as a PSYOPs. So as we looked into it, we found that Mountain House was purchased by Sun Trust in the mid-90s. We researched Sun Trust, which was Rothschild. Mountain House was built as a UN Agenda 21 smart city, fully self-contained. It runs by CCNRs. It has a very peculiar city setup, and the financing for buying homes is through the USDA. And this was just really literally a town set up to create a PSYOPs on limited water resources. They got busted. So you need to understand, we don't have a water shortage. When you hear water shortages being discussed, you need to go out and get
officials in the Inland Empire want to make it rain.
And they're using science in the process called cloud seeding to increase the amount of rain in some areas and help boost regional water supplies. Eyewitness News reporter Leticia Waters explains.
Water is a precious resource and one completely dependent on the climate, which can vary from year to year. So water officials are turning their sights to cloud seeding as a way to squeeze more water out of passing storms.
The idea is to use particles, in this case silver iodide, and have them generate or enhance more precipitation in clouds so it falls as snow and ends up augmenting our water supplies.
Josh Mosier is the general manager of the Santa Ana Watershed Project Authority, which includes 5 water districts in both the Inland Empire and Orange County. He says the project aims to increase precipitation by 5 to 15%. The 4-year pilot program involves using 15 ground-based seeding generators located near the base of mountains.
Those are the headwaters, if you will, for our water supply. So it falls as snow, it eventually melts, and comes down existing rivers such as the Santa Ana River, which runs through our watershed.
Valley homeowners say there's a troubling cause of fires like this one, and it's not carelessness or negligence. They blame a device attached to thousands of homes, which is supposed to make tracking your energy usage easier for PG&E. 10 million homes in Central and Northern California have smart meters calculating electric bills.
In an Action News special assignment tonight, anchor Corin Hoggard investigated some fiery complaints about the device in Fresno County.
It can happen in a flash. Fiery videos posted to YouTube by several homeowners show fires they blame on smart meters. Valdez and his family ran out, and by that time, firefighters had already started pouring water on the house. He noticed several PG&E employees got there almost as quickly, and he says one of them removed the smart meter while the firefighters worked. Fireball's fire chief saw it too. He says he's never seen that before, but he thinks he knows why they may have wanted the device.
Investigation after the fire was put out revealed that in all probability the fire was caused by a problem in the electrical panel, and that problem within the electrical panel, in my belief, was the smart meter that was installed in the panel by PG&E.
Dozens of people have blamed smart meters for fires over the last several years, and the issue has been a topic of discussion for the California Public Utilities Commission. Jose Valdez isn't convinced. His insurance company is suing PG&E over the fire at his house, and they're not alone. A few months earlier, the same thing happened at this home in Kerman. Attorneys say electricity surged at the smart meter that was right here, and it caused a fire.
Active arcing going on, electrical activity happening with flames going up the side of the house.
Fresno firefighters put out the fire at the Sandoval home. Deputy Fire Marshal Don McAlpine says there's no clear evidence it started with a smart meter malfunction, but their investigation doesn't rule it out.
So I talked to the owner of this house right here in Pasadena. I talked to the owner. The owner does not have a smart meter on this house, on the front part of his house. There's no smart meter, no smart meter. So the house did not burn. The back house is the part of the house that had the smart meter, and everything in the back of his house is burnt. No smart meter, smart meter. No smart meter, nothing. Nothing's burned. Well, the trees, but the house state is perfectly fine. But the back house is completely gone.
We need a paradigm shift. We must rebuild trust, and that's actually the theme of our meeting. We have to rebuild trust. Trust in our future, trust in our capacity to overcome challenges, and most importantly, trust in each other. Trust is not just a feeling. Trust is a commitment to action, to believe, to hope. To achieve this, we must rediscover and embrace the narrative that has driven humanity since its inception, acting as trustees.
November 7, 1983. Remember this date, but first, let me introduce you to Karen Bass. Back in the 1970s, community activist Karen Bass went on at least 15 trips to Cuba, many with a group known as the Venceremos Brigade, a Marxist group started by the Castro regime to subvert American interests, weaken democracies, and spread communism around the world. Founded in 1969, the Venceremos Brigade organized trips to Cuba every year for half a century. They attracted the most radicalized and delusional segments of the American left, including overtly Maoist and pro-Soviet communist groups. In fact, a Los Angeles police investigator who infiltrated the group testified to Congress saying that to be a member of the brigade, you had to be confirmed as a Marxist-Leninist. As a brigadista and then moving up the ranks to organizer for the Venceremos Brigade, Karen Bass visited Cuba every 6 months. Their mission? To radicalize young, impressionable American leftists in terrorist tactics and guerrilla warfare. Members of the Venceremos Brigade were even taught how to make bombs. Karen Bass admits, on her many pilgrimages to Cuba, she went to see Fidel Castro speak several times, even calling him charismatic, and upon his death, praised him, saying, "The passing of Commandant en Jefe is a great loss to the people of Cuba, even though the people of Cuba see him as a dictator who impoverished their island." Another group, the M19, took its belief in revolutionary anti-imperialism to extremes, violent extremes. The M19 was the first and only women-created and women-led domestic terrorist group. Since their founding in 1978, M19's tactics escalated from robbing armored trucks and abetting prison breaks to building their own explosives and carrying out terrorist bombings. From 1983 to 1984, M19 bombed an FBI office, the Israel Aircraft Industries building, the South African consulate in New York, DC's Fort McNair, and Navy Yard, which they bombed twice. But that wasn't enough for them. On the night of November 7, 1983, the M19 called the US Capitol switchboard and warned them to evacuate the building. Minutes later, the M19 bombed the north wing of the US Capitol. November 7, 2023 marks 40 years since the M19's bombing of the US Capitol. Members of the M19, like Susan Rosenberg, traveled to Cuba with and were radicalized by the Venceremos Brigade. The South Los Angeles Venceremos Brigade was led by Karen Bass, who is now mayor of Los Angeles.